Hello everyone, I am Dr. Nidhi Singh and today we will be discussing about class 10 geography textbook chapter 1, that is resources. Today we will be discussing what are resources, how can we classify the resources and how this concept of resources came into being, and then the sustainable development and all around yourself and thought what are these materials, can they be called resources? Yes, anything that is useful for human beings can be called resources because they satisfy our wants and needs. So, anything around us that is useful for human beings and they satisfy our needs, then they can be called as resources. So, for anything to become a resource, it should satisfy the needs of human beings. There was a economist called Zimmerman and he said that resources are not but they become. What did he mean? He meant that resources are not just lying there in our surrounding, but any material to become a resource, it has to satisfy the needs of human beings, and human beings are the one who can make a material a resource. There are three important aspects required for a material to become a resource. First one is it should be technologically accessible. Second one is it should be economically feasible, and third one is that it should be culturally acceptable. So, these three important aspects should be considered when we are thinking that a material becomes a resource. So, technologically accessible means that we should know how to access the material to become a resource. That means we should have that technological efficiency to harness the utilization of any material to become a resource. The second one, this means that we should have that much of finance or money to harness the particular material to become a resource or become a resource. And third one is it should be culturally acceptable. That means we human beings should have that skill to access those resources or to convert those material into resources, right. So, three understanding of material becoming a resource is that it should be technologically accessible, economically feasible and culturally acceptable. So, any material to become a resource, the most important thing in between is that is human aspect. So, human aspect, the skill, the technological know for making a material into a resource. Now, we will be looking after the classification of resources. So, resources can be classified on different aspects, that is, one is depending upon the origin, second one is depending upon the exhaustibility, third one is on the basis of ownership, and fourth one is on the basis of status of development. So, the first classification, that is on the basis of origin. According to this, we have two types of resources. One is abiotic resources and second one is biotic resources. Abiotic resources are non-living resources, for example, land, then water, minerals, etc. And biotic resources are the living resources, that is wildlife, fisheries and even human beings. Why not us? You must have heard that human resources, right, this terminology. So, human beings are also considered as human resources and they can be classified under biotic resources. As you can see on the screen, the wildlife, the plants, the trees, etc. all are resources as well as the livestock. Now, example of abiotic resources is there. Soil is an example of abiotic resources. Now, the second classification, that is on the basis of exhaustibility. On the basis of exhaustibility, we have renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources are the ones that can be renewed from time to time. For example, wind. We can have wind, we can renew, or it can be generate time to time. Once we have used the wind for some purpose, then again we can use the wind for some other purpose. We can regenerate it, or it gets renewed time to time. Now, the second one is non-renewable resources. These resources cannot be renewed or they take lots of time to get renewed. For example, metals or soil also. Though soil gets formed naturally, but then it takes hundreds and thousands of years to get regenerated or to form a thin layer of soil. Therefore, soil is considered as non-renewable resources. Now, the third basis, that is on the basis of ownership, we have individual resources, we have community owned resources, we have national resources, and then we have international resources. So, individual resources, as you can understand by the name itself, it is owned by an individual, that is it is a personal belonging of a person, for example land, house, etc. The second one is community owned resources. Community owned resources are owned by a community or a village. For example, we have village pastures. You might have heard about village commons. Have you heard about it? No, it's okay, we will be discussing about it also. The village commons are owned by the village. That means it is commonly owned by the people of the village. For example, village pastures are there, then well is also there, village well or any source of water. And in urban areas, we have parks, playgrounds, etc. So, these are community owned resources. The third one is national resources. National resources are there for the whole nation, or it is owned by the whole nation. For example, we have roads, railways, etc. The fourth one is international resources. International resources are owned by more than one nation. For example, we have exclusive economic zones or EEZ. These are the zones of a water body which is owned by two or more nations. Now, the last classification, that is on the basis of status of development, we have potential, developed and stock and reserve resources. Potential resources are those that are found in region but are not utilized. Second one is developed resources. These resources are those that have already been surveyed. The quality and quantity are determined for utilization, but the development depends on technology and the level of feasibility that we have. The third one is stock resources. These are the materials that have potential, but they lack appropriate technology to access. That means we human beings do not have the appropriate technology to access these resources or to access these materials to make them as resources. The fourth one is reserves. Reserves are subset of stock resources and can be put in use with current technical know-how, but their use has not been started yet. It can be used for the future use. So, there are few things which are kept for future use and we have not been able to access or utilize those material for today's generation. Now, we will be discussing about development of resources. That means how this concept of resources got developed. Earlier, it was thought that resources are free gifts of nature, but then what happened? Because of this conception, lots of exploitation of resources started taking place, and that led to depletion of resources, accumulation of resources in few hands, and then global ecological crisis that appeared. So, then we understood that resources are not free gifts of nature, but rather some are limited, some are definitely unlimited, but we need to access and utilize them in a proper judicious manner. Look at the screen. What do you see? There is a map of India and there are several colors in it. This map shows the availability of groundwater in India, and different colors show the depth at which groundwater is available to us for accessing. The blue color shows that water is present at a very less depth to us, and then the red ones or the maroon ones show that we can access groundwater when we go very deep inside the earth's surface. So, this is the distribution of groundwater in India, and what we see, therefore, this shows that some areas have abundance of groundwater while some areas have scarcity of it. That means resources are not distributed equally all around the country itself. Now, see the screen again. What do you see? You see the paper clippings of different places where the scarcity of water is being shown and the related problems that are arising due to scarcity of water. So, you can see all such clippings in different newspapers during summer season especially. Now, what do we understand by this? The important aspects to understand here are that distribution of resources is not equal. Second one is that accessibility is also not equal. That means some have the accessibility of the resources in abundance while some do not have it. The third one is we need the resources for future use also. It's not that we use it and then we exhaust all the resources for this generation only, and we do not have the resources for the next generation or the future generations. These aspects were kept in mind and discussed. Then the concept of sustainable development came into existence. In 1992 at Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the first step towards understanding the availability and use of resources was done, and then the concept of sustainable development also came into existence after this, and this was the first international Earth Summit. During this time only, the Agenda 21 was adopted. What is this? This is about the sustainable use of resources and the concept of sustainable development. That means we should utilize the resources in a manner that we can use it during this generation as well as that is available for the next generation or future generations as well. Since resources are not distributed equally all over and they are not accessible to everyone in an equal manner, we need to plan the resources, that how to utilize it. That should be available for the today's generation as well as for the future generation as well. In all over the world, planning of resources is being done, and in India also we have been planning how to utilize the resources in a judicious manner. So, for this reason, resource planning started even during the first 5-year plan of India. You must be knowing that we have different 5-year plans every 5 years, and government plans few things for or strategizes few things to be taken care of during the next 5-year plan. So, during first 5-year plan of our country itself, we discussed how to utilize the resources, how to access them, and how it should be planned so that the resources are available for the today's generation as well as for the future generations as well. In the resource planning, we have 2 steps, main important steps. One is identification, which includes mapping, estimation, etc. The resources are mapped, identified what are the resources available in India, then they are mapped where they are located and how much, in what quantity they are located at a particular place. Then we estimate that how much we can utilize at one particular time for our use. The second step is evolving a planning structure. That means the whole planning structure is determined and how we will be evolving in the given planning structure. So, what all departments will be involved in this, and then how all these will function, all these things are planned. Now, Mahatma Gandhi said that there is enough for everybody's need and not for everybody's greed. This means that we have resources and we have ample amount of resources to satisfy the needs of everyone. But since we do not restrict ourselves to satisfying the needs that we have, the greed comes in between. Therefore, to satisfy the greeds of different people, we do not have that much of resources. This means that our earth is full of resources of different types which can be useful for satisfying the needs of human beings. But what we need is that we need to utilize that in a proper manner, judicious manner, without planning and with utilizing the resources or exploiting it will lead us nowhere, and we will ultimately have exhausted resources and no resources will be available for our future generations. So, in this session, we discussed about the resources. What are resources? That means anything useful for us can be classified as resources or can be called as resources. Then we also discussed about the classification of resources on basis of origin, exhaustibility, ownership, etc. We discussed about different types of resources within these classifications, the major classifications. Then we discussed about how the concept of resources came into being, and then the related concept of sustainable development. Then we also got to know about what are the different aspects that are to be kept in mind while discussing or while understanding about resources. This means that we need to plan our resources and utilize our resources efficiently or judiciously. We also discussed about planning of resources and planning of resources in India. Now we will be discussing about land resources. Land resources are a part of resources. As we discussed, it is a type of abiotic resource. So, land resources, what we mean by this is the soil that is present on the earth's surface, and it is a very important resource that we need for our sustenance. Why? Because we grow our plants, we grow our crops on it, and the food is extracted from that. So, land resources, we have to use them very judiciously, because the regeneration capacity of soil is very slow. That means it takes hundreds and thousands of years to regenerate 1 inch of soil layer on the earth's surface. Therefore, the utilization of these resources is very important. How it is being utilized, how it is being used, its efficient and judicious use is very important. And now we will be discussing also about the different types of soils. What are the things that are responsible for creating a soil or developing or generating a soil, and different types of soils. The type and quality of soil depends upon 4 very important things. First one is the type of parent material or the rock from which the soil is extracted, depending upon which we have the minerals that are present in the soil, and we have red soil, black soil, etc. The second point is the amount of organic material present in it, that means the humus. The more the organic material present in a soil is, the more fertile the soil will. Therefore, the fertility of soil is also determined by the amount of organic material or humus present in it. The third important thing is amount of moisture present in it. So, the water presence is very important in the soil, and the moisture gives support to the plants, and then the roots extract the water, and then the plant grows. The fourth important point is amount of air present in it. So, we say the soil is well aerated, that means quite good amount of air is present in the soil, and therefore, the presence of earthworms and other insects is very important in soil. Now, depending upon the parent material and the fertility of soil and the kind of mineral and the amount of that mineral present in the soil, we have different types of soil. In India, we have some major types of soils, and they are alluvial soil, black soil, red soil, laterite soil, desert soil, and mountain soil. And we may have different subsets of these soils, but these are the 6 major classifications of soils that we have in India. The first one, that is alluvial soil, is found in the Indo-Gangetic region, and it is very fertile, and the crops are grown on this soil in a very large amount because of its fertility. The second one is black soil. It is also known as the black cotton soil. Why? Because it is found in the Deccan Trap region of India, and it is little black in color. It is formed from the igneous rocks that came out of from the earth's interior during long back, during the time when the Deccan region was being formed, and it is famous for cotton crops that is grown in it. The third one is red soil. Red soil is found around the area of black soil, and it is red in color because of the presence of ferrous material in it. As we discussed earlier, the amount of material or the mineral present in it and the type of mineral present in it also determines the quality and type of soil. So, the iron content in the soil gives the red color to the soil. The fourth type of soil is laterite soil. Laterite soil is found in the areas of heavy rainfall. So, we have this kind of soil in the northeastern regions of India as well as the southern regions where we have lots of rainfall. And laterite soil, due to heavy rainfall, what happens that the humus content and the fertility content of the soil gets transported to the lower levels or the underneath levels of the soil, and therefore the soil is called to be leached up. That means the fertility of the soil or the important content of the minerals of the soil have got washed away to the deeper layers of the soil, and therefore the fertility gets reduced of the the surface layer where we grow crops. The fifth type of soil is the desert soil. Desert soil is found in the desert or semi-arid or arid regions of India, and these are not very fertile because the moisture content is very low, organic content is also low, and we do not have very good productivity of crops from these types of soils. The sixth one is the mountain soil. Mountain soil, as the name suggests, is found in the mountainous regions of the country. For example, in the Himalayan region or the hilly regions of southern India and all those. Now, since, as we said and as we discussed, that since the regeneration capacity of soil is very slow and it takes thousands of years to get regenerated or formed, we need to conserve these resources. Like any other resources, we need to conserve these resources as well. And for conservation, what we do, we try to devise some processes or ways by which we can reduce the amount of degradation of soil or washing away of the top fertile layer of the soil. And how we do it? We do it by the processes like bunding, by terrace farming, etc. So, now we also know about the importance of soil resources or the land resources, and then different types of soils, how soils are classified, or what are the important things that are required to determine the quality of soil and the type of soils, and we need to conserve these resources as well like any other resources. Now, we will summarize what we have learned today. We learned today what is the definition of resources or what are resources, then different types of resources, what are the different bases on which we can classify these resources, then how the concept of resource came into existence, then the subsequent terminology of sustainable development, then we also discussed about land resources or soil resources, and then we discussed about different types of soils that are found in India and how the soil can be classified depending upon what all things soil can be classified or determined, and then how we can conserve soil resources. I hope you must have understood everything properly. If not, you can go through your textbook and you can understand the things in a much better manner.